You'd hear from our guy Chris Finch here after what was kind of a disappointing performance by the Timberwolves yesterday.
We knew they were going to switch a lot. We just didn't play with any zip, any pace. Like we didn't get down the floor quick enough. We didn't get in and out of our actions quick enough. We made it very easy for them to kind of wrestle us on the spot and switch and all that kind of stuff. So
was that kind of the story of the game? Just they had a little more zip, a little more.
Yeah, for sure. Our energy was low today. Sometimes you have those games. You just try to flush this one away and get ready for Toronto.
Okay, so statements round 2 here. I'm gonna pair 2 statements into one here, Wolves related. The first one is sort of a preface that Boston's doing that to everybody right now. That game was, it's a measuring stick game, and that if you eventually want to win a championship, that's the type of team you're going to have to beat. But Boston has more 30-point wins. I saw this on ESPN this morning. Over whatever stretch this has been, like a month or 2 months, they have more 30-point wins than losses. They're just beating the brakes off everybody.
Just quickly, what's happened there? Because they were disappointing. Like around Christmas, there was talk of breaking the trade.
Tatum and Brown, yeah.
Yeah. So what's happened?
Well, those guys are. Yeah, it's always been like, oh well, they kind of play the same position, and so it's kind of I don't know, but they're both awesome, and they've just figured out how to play together, and they've both figured out how to play at a high level, and I think that organization for a long time, but like this most recent iteration. Brad Stevens as a coach and as a front office guy, like they tend to gel often at times where you look at the roster or you look at the way they've been playing, like they figure it out. Now they haven't figured it out to a championship standpoint this time around, but let me dovetail into my Wolves statement here for you guys, which is D'Lo needs to get it together. All right.
My statement.
And you can, go ahead. Like, listen, I think 2 things can be true. Number one, he has been much better this season as a leader, even as a defender. He has put the team on his back at times, and he's been a great, I think, straw to stir the drink, getting Cat into advantageous places. He's been able to share with Anthony Edwards, and so by and large, the D'Lo experience has been very positive and very fruitful for the Timberwolves this season. But the 4 biggest games of the year so far, the last week, so Dallas twice, Phoenix, Boston, with the 6th seed on the line, right? Like the play-in is very much likely at this point because they've lost some of these games. So these are the biggest games of the season. And he's shooting 15% from 3 over these last 4 games, 34% overall, and he's averaging 10 points in those 4 games. He's actually had 3 single-digit scoring games over the last 2 weeks. And so, I hate to bring it to like the salary cap because that doesn't matter right now, but ultimately, like, he's taken up about 20% of the Wolves' overall payroll in a salary cap league.
Yep.
And these are the biggest games of the year, man. Like, you can't just be shooting 3 of 9 and disappear. And even Finch made a comment after the game too. He said, "Yeah, tonight was sort of designed to get D'Lo going," and he let that sit there for a second because it didn't happen. So I think you can say 2 things. Like, he's been wonderful for this team, and he has been a huge part of the growth and why they are going to finish the season above 500 for the 2nd time since 2004.
Yep.
But in these biggest games, he has pretty much disappeared, and I think it's worthy of criticism.
I think it absolutely is. In fact, I'll dovetail off your statement to say this. D'Lo overall needs to grow up. This is crunch time, baby. Like this is where the money is made. This is where you are, and you are, like it or not, at your position, a floor general of this team. Like, people look to you. And the one advantageous thing about our press row seating at Target Center is this: we're right by, like literally right by the bench. And D'Lo, there's an exercise bike off to the corner there, and when D'Lo's not playing, he rides it a lot just to stay loose. And when things are going well, he's barking out stuff. It's constructive. Like, he's barking out what guys should do. Mm-hmm. Like, he is a smart dude. He is intelligent.
He could be a general.
Yeah. So, like, there's no, like, I don't think he's that smart. No, he is. It did not sit well with me, his response in that Suns game. The fact that during the timeouts when he was having a terrible game. He decided not to join the huddle for the team. He sat off to the side. He sulked, and he basically said, well, when things are going like that, so sometimes I don't want to be frustrated, so I sort of disengage. Come on, no, man, that's not it. You are a leader here. You are, I think, in my opinion, you can't be a guy who, when things are going good, is like takes control, but then when it goes bad, you're like, I'm sort of out now. That doesn't work. So I really think that this is a pivotal time in D'Angelo Russell's career where he needs to pick a path here. And that path needs to be to grow up and understand when things are not going well personally, that doesn't give you a pass, no pun intended, to say, well, now I'm upset, I'm going to disengage. That's not how this works, man. And we're getting to springtime. Let's all grow up here.
I would add, too, like, it's one thing to go from helping teams that are irrelevant become like a playoff team for the first time near the bottom of the Western or Eastern Conference standings, which he helped do in Brooklyn a few years back, and now he's helping with the Timberwolves. But then, okay, so now you've sort of solidified yourself as that team, and now your measuring stick, and again, like anything that happens this season going forward to me is a bonus. They're going to finish 10 wins above their Vegas over-under. You know, they're probably going to beat the Clippers. If not, I would hope that they would win the next game. Like, they're going to play in a playoff series, so to me, like, all of it is a success. But you can see on the horizon there's another level of this thing, and you're getting a taste of it against the Suns and Boston and on the road against the Mavericks and then home. Like, you can kind of go toe-to-toe with these teams, but there's another level to get to. And the biggest question is he part of that level? Is he going to take that next step? Because I think Cat has done a great job of, in many ways, it looks like he can take that next step. I think D'Lo can, but these last 4 games where it's like, all right, you guys, where are you guys here? Are you fighting with the Suns now? Because you got the best record since the All-Star game, so go prove it against the Suns. Go prove it against Boston. And he has been a ghost in those 4 games. So I don't think you judge the whole season off those 4 games, but these are the highest pressure chips on the table games.
I think more importantly than the statistical problems, which are a problem, but I think the most important thing is the character test. Like, that's what I want to see. Like, okay, you're slumping. Cool. Happens to everybody. Long season, right? But how do you handle it? And my problem is he doesn't seem to be handling it well. That's a long-term concern. So, like, yeah, you're going to go through bad slumps and you're going to be great sometimes and you're going to stink sometimes. But do you maintain a consistency? And I think the most troubling thing about these last 4 games is, as far as the personality goes and the approach goes, the consistency has waned really badly. That's more concerning to me than the actual statistical output.
Yeah. And so, you got Toronto and then the Denver game. So, you still got some time here in this brutal stretch of 7 games, and they've definitely held their own except for that Boston game. So, all right, it's okay. Maybe this is just a 4-game weird stretch. It's just he's banged up or whatever. So there's still some time here, but let's see it. Let's see it, Dex.
My statement is they're going to have to figure out a way to replace Malik Beasley. So Malik Beasley with that high ankle sprain, out for at least the next couple days. I know Doogie had a little scoop on that over the weekend. But Malik Beasley got off to that really poor start in the first half of the season. But since February 1st, Beasley was hitting 46% of his shots from behind the arc. He was actually shooting better at 3 than he was from the floor in general. And now that you've already lost J-Mac for most likely the remainder of the regular season, if not close to it, because he has an ankle sprain as well, you have to figure out ways to get these guys the 3-point shots and still figuring out how to convert them, right? Like, the Wolves have been trying for years to catch up finally to the 3-point game. They've been attempting a lot, but they haven't been falling a lot for as much as they've been taking them. And Beasley, over the last 2 months, has basically been that dagger guy off the bench that has hit a ton of threes for them. And now you're without that. You're without a guy who is shooting 46% from 3, and you're without Jaden McDaniels right now as well. You're missing 2 core bench players. So I think they can hopefully get healthy by the time the playoffs and/or play-in rolls around, but you have to figure out a way to replace Malik Beasley because his impact off the bench has been monumental for the Wolves since the All-Star break.
Yeah, it's actually like their bench has gone from completely non-existent a year or 2 ago. Credit to front office executive of the year, Gerson Rosas, by the way.
Gerson.
He was in town.
He was?
On
so
Friday.
With the Mavs? Is he consulting for the Mavericks or something?
Then
Knicks. He's working for the Knicks.
But there was a picture of him. Was that?
Yeah.
Was that a recent picture? So I saw
thought
that
it was.
picture floating around social
Yeah.
media that he was in town. Like there was a picture of him standing on the court, but I couldn't tell.
Supposedly got
someone
hired by the
can-
Knicks, but I have no idea.
But Jarrett, Jarrett Vanderbilt was out for a while, and like they haven't had a fully healthy team, starters and bench in quite a while here, because guys just keep missing time. But McLaughlin steps up, and like I think the loss of Jaden McDaniels is probably the bigger one compared to Malik Beasley. They're such different players.
Yeah.
But I mean, he offers just so much energy and length and defense. And when you're playing against a team like the Celtics, I mean, who's going to guard those ridiculous wing players, right? Like he's just a weapon out of your arsenal. So getting him back at some point is going to be key. But high ankle sprain for Jaden McDaniels, it's a tough one. Judd, statement.
Statement is this. Well, off the top of this segment, we heard from Chris Finch, and my statement is appreciate the fact you found your guy. Chris Finch, I think we got to talk more about him. Finchie's incredible. First of all, he evidently has perfected or is good at the art of kicking ass behind the scenes, gets mad, but is constructive. But in the pressers, he never changes. And there's something about it to me that this might sound weird, that strikes me as sincere. It's not like, oh, you're lying. I think he's telling the truth, and he says things that if you read between the lines or just listen to them are somewhat frontal, but it's never done from a place of anger and frustration. I never sense highs and lows externally from him, which with a team like this, I think is a great thing. Like, I don't think this team would handle it well if he came into the presser last night all ticked off and screaming and taking papers and throwing them around. He is so good at, I think, delivering his message in a sincere way. I don't think that we are giving him enough credit for what he's done. He, to me, is a very, very serious candidate for coach of the year, just based on all of the different people that we've been through here. This guy is damn good.
Yeah, and the different personalities. I mean, Cat can be a little high maintenance, and D'Lo has bounced around, and Ant is super young, and you're not just going to get full buy-in, right? And then all these bench and role players, and every one of them, when they talk about Chris Finch, they rave about him. It's not like, oh yeah, we love Coach. It's like, I mean, they go out of their way to go to the next step, and I feel like that's pretty in an NBA where players drive the action, the success, the league in general, and coaches are sort of disposable. Like there's not a lot of Phil Jacksons and Eric Spoelstras and Pat Rileys running around. Like a lot of these coaches tend to be, you get 4 or 5 years and you're out. And Chris Finch has only been here for 2, so we have to let it play out. But it strikes me the way that they talk about him with such respect. I mean, he's clearly, from an X's and O's and a communication standpoint, he's got full buy-in from this team. And hopefully everything can stay together through some of these losses, because it's one thing when you're clubbing, the Pelicans by 25 points. Oh, yeah, we love Finchie. But when you go get drubbed in Boston, or you get beat in 5 games, by Memphis or something in the playoffs,
Right.
like, can they take lumps and still see the vision and still see the progress? I think that's something to keep an eye on here.
The thing that I absolutely love, though, is if they beat the Pelicans by 25 or they get drubbed by the Celtics in the Garden, his demeanor doesn't change.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really tell.
Yeah,
and
he's just Finchie.
and I love that. Dare I say this, and personality-wise, I think they're probably different people, but dare I say from a coaching managerial standpoint, he's got some Tom Kelly to him?
He does. He's like a little bit of an Eeyore demeanor, kind of, just kind of, never really makes eye contact, but just
Right.
a brilliant lifer, right? Just a
Right.
schemer.
But
and
you
a guy
appreciate him, right?
Yeah.
Well, like he's a guy that you appreciate and you get what he's about, and I think that's important.
And early in Tom Kelly's career, like later in his career, the young players, he was sick of
Yes.
losing, and the young players were like,
changed.
okay, what's this? His patience had run thin. But early in his career, I mean, he was younger, right? He was younger than Finch is
30s.
right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he was this lifer, sort of mad scientist genius, and players loved him. And that's Finch is kind of a mad scientist. Even his hair and like the way that he looks a little disheveled, the collar's all kind of crooked. And
Well, and they both went through stints with minor league teams, basically where they lost players constantly. Like, I just think that there is with both guys, especially early on in their careers, which Finch is from a coaching standpoint right now, I think that there is a clear appreciation from their standpoint of the game itself and a love that they love what they're doing. And they're not doing it for the media. They're not doing it for attention.
Yeah.
I just sense some similarities in demeanor there between the two of them.
So, by the way, here is the updates in the Western Conference. The Wolves have all but clinched the 7 seed above the Clippers, so there's no worry about not that we've been looking down the standings at all, but just they're 6 games clear of the Clippers. So the only question now is, can they catch the Nuggets, the Jazz, who have now fallen into the 5, or the Mavericks? It's going to be, they're running out of time here, and they've lost a couple key games. That Nuggets game is going to be the absolute must-win. You have to win that game if you want to catch the Nuggets, but that's probably your best path. So you get the Nuggets on Friday this week, and the rest of the Nuggets schedule is they play at Charlotte tonight, which is not a gimme, at the Pacers on a Wednesday night, and then the game on Friday against the Timberwolves. But the rest of the way, they get just a quitting Lakers team on Sunday, home against a bad San Antonio team, home against Memphis, which may or may not have something to play for on Thursday, April 7th, and then home against the Lakers again. So I just worry that Denver's schedule has a lot of, I'm not going to say gimmies because teams are fighting and stuff, but Denver's not going to lose 5 games. So you probably have to come close to running the table and beat Denver. The Wolves schedule, they play at Toronto on Wednesday, so they get a couple days off here. At Toronto on Wednesday, and then the game at Denver on Friday. At Houston, home against Washington, home against San Antonio, and then home against the Chicago Bulls on Sunday, April 10th. So, can the Wolves run? If the Wolves can run the table, I think they pass the Nuggets, and then we'll see about the Jazz and the Mavericks. But it'll be interesting.
That's a lot to ask.
Be interesting. Well, they should. The 3 games after Denver, they're going to be favored in all those games. The Chicago game at home kind of depends on whether Chicago cares.
Back here, if they care, you're right.
Yeah,
that's a lot to ask.
So, all right, we got to get to buffoon of the week here, but any other final?
Yes,
you guys.
Yes, my final statement for today is simple. This surly is for you if you're of age. Go for a hockey team. Congratulations. Bob Motzko's been through hell and back, and this does not make up for that fact, but they beat Western Michigan on Sunday. They're going to the Frozen Four in Boston in 2 weeks. That's awesome. That's a great story. Again, it doesn't make up for what Bob's been through, but congratulations. It at least is a great year. So
yeah, awesome.
That's my final statement.
Awesome, man. Bob Motzko deserves good things to happen to him.
Terrible stuff.
So, all right, boys, let's get into the buffoon of the week. This week is presented by our friends who aren't buffoons at all, Federated Mutual Insurance Company. All right, so Federated's been around. They're the opposite of buffoons. They are geniuses when it comes to risk management, protecting your business, maximizing the success of your business. You can find them online at federatedinsurance.com, where they have a full list of industries that they protect. See if your business aligns with their expertise. And at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. All right, this might be the easiest buffoon of the week that we've ever given out, and it's my buffoon of the week. And if you guys disagree, you can disagree. Sounds like Judd thinks this might be the genius of the week. Will Smith, what are you doing, guy? It's Chris Rock. Chris Rock, and by the way, so I am calling him the buffoon of the week from the standpoint of having seen enough professional wrestling in my life. I can tell when something is a work or scripted versus when it becomes a shoot, which is, oh, this goes beyond the lines of script. This is now real. Interesting. When you saw it on the, so if you somehow are coming out of your cave and missed what happened at the Oscars last night, Will Smith, after Chris Rock made a joke about his wife's buzz cut, shaved head, walked up on stage and open hand slapped Chris Rock in the face. That's what you saw on the American feed because they cut the rest of it out. But on the international feed, they left it unedited and uncensored. Australia, France, there's video going around. He goes back to his seat and yells, "Keep my effing wife's name out of your effing mouth." And then Chris Rock was like, what's happening right now? Keep my effing wife's name out of your effing mouth. And then a bunch of celebrities had to come up and like console him during the commercial break. Then he freaking wins Best Actor, his first ever Oscar, and gets up there and gaslights everybody. I just like, what God is asking me to do in my life is too much to take, to bite off, whatever. But I'm just saying, Will Smith, not in a good place. Buffoon of the week. You might want to just relax. I don't know, put on some Chill Boys or something. But Judd, you think it was staged?
Let's just say I'm dubious. Let's just say I'm very dubious. It was an open hand slap that darn near sort of missed. It was an actor slap. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out it's not staged. I'm just saying I won't be surprised if we find out it was staged. I would encourage all of you youngsters out there, once you're done watching our fine program, to jump on the YouTube and look at Fridays, which was a television show in the 70s, early 80s. Andy Kaufman, Michael Richards.
Okay.
Which to this day, there was a very similar thing in a scene and a fight broke out. And nobody knows still to this day if that was staged or not. The point being is, I wouldn't be surprised either way. This just is going to result in some type of weird, massive potential payday. If Rock and Will Smith cash in, I'm going heavy on staged. If
are they gonna host the Oscars together next year?
They're being
Is that what's gonna
offered
happen?
huge packages already to like have a celebrity bout and things like that. I'm just saying I don't.
That's right. Yeah, Will
trust
Smith should go
Hollywood.
from winning an Oscar to doing a celebrity fight against Chris Rock.
This is filled with a lot of despicable people. So I'm just saying I don't trust them.
So to the conspiracy part, though, and this is where I do buy in a little bit with Judd. So Will Smith, and this is, I love 2022 technology and just reading into things. So Will Smith's TikTok page, before the Oscars started, before this slap happened, he posts this little funny little picture. It's him and Jada like in their gowns and ready to go to the Oscars. And the caption is, "Me and Jada Pinkett Smith got all dressed up to choose chaos."
This is before
the slap happened.
Well, that was before
This was
I saw
on
that.
his TikTok page.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So add that into the list of potential conspiracy theories. Like, why would you post that? And then literally, that was the definition, of causing chaos, open hand slapping someone.
But what's the hook? Like Andy Kaufman's doing it because he's sort of like a shock jock comedian actor.
Well,
like
first
it was
of all,
his career.
First of all, I think it's going to help Chris Rock, and I don't think it's going to hurt Will Smith as much as some people think. But the second thing is, the Oscars has traditionally, for a long time, been boring as crap.
So you're saying the Oscars might be in it?
I'm saying there's enough people involved, but it's not too many. But it strikes me as, like, if Will Smith just won, this is a one-day, Will Smith won and the Oscars was last night, and then we move on, right? I mean, it's 2022.
Listen, Monday Night Raw was pretty boring throughout the mid-'90s, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, these guys are just like, what are they? Are they like reaming out their bosses? Is that real? Are they swearing? What's happening
Well,
right now?
and all I know is this. If somebody insulted Dawn, especially if something was wrong, to the point of where I was really mad, right or wrong, I'm going closed fist punch. I'm closing my fist.
Yeah, his wife has a condition,
I'm not going to slap
right?
a guy.
Yeah, she has alopecia.
Yes. But my point is, I'm not going to slap a male. And I'm not going to.
I wonder if he went up there.
So that's just not going to happen. I mean, I'm just going to.
It looked like he was in kind of and there's a screenshot too where he's like, he's laughing at the joke, but you can tell he's like fuming. Like his face, like neck was turning kind of red. And then you look over and his wife is just staring at him like, are you really laughing at this?
Right.
And then he gets up and I wonder, because again, I think it was real.
Yeah,
but
and you might be right.
He gets up. Did he think as he's going up there he was going to punch him or like grab him or something? But then as he's walking, does he realize, oh my God, like I'm doing this. I'm on international TV, so I can't. It's got to be a slap because I can't.
Right.
He assaulted him. That's the other thing. Like why was he allowed to keep sitting there just enjoying the show?
That's what's so weird about the whole thing.
And then Amy Schumer was great. She comes out like 20 minutes later And she's like, all right, what did I miss? What did I miss, everybody?
It's like I was in this.
The vibe feels kind of weird in here. What happened?
Well, and the fact that Chris Rock took the slap, which was fine, and just continued on, like it was the whole thing just seemed sort of, it was over the top, but it wasn't to a point where you would expect it to go if that was to actually happen. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
So I don't know. That
Good
was
for them. They
that was
created a lot of
fascinating.
controversy.
Well, my aunt out in San Francisco texted me last night because she knows we'll dabble in some award shows once in a while, and she goes, "Oh my God, was that real?" And I'm like, I wasn't watching. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, Chris Rock, and I was like, yeah, I still don't know what you're talking about. And so I'll jump on Twitter and that international feed because it's like, oh, he went up and he slapped him. That's what the Americans saw, like, oh, and then they censored something.
Right.
No. But then when you watch the international feed, and the look on Will Smith's face was like, it's the look on someone's face when they're ready to rage. I don't know.
Unless they're a really good actor.
Fresh
Prince of Bel-Air.
He's the
Fresh
best
Prince
actor.
of Bel-Air, baby.
West Philadelphia.
Amazing.
Do you remember? So just to credit him as a young guy, do you remember the scene in Fresh Prince with his uncle? Right?
Yeah, Uncle Phil.
Yeah, when we find out that Will Smith's dad didn't acknowledge his birthday or something, there's a great scene where his character,
one of those powerful moments in television history.
It's fantastic, yeah. But my point is, he's that good.
He is an amazing actor.
That was a believable scene.
Well, he also played Muhammad Ali in a movie, and
I'm crediting him.
I'm saying wasn't believable in that slapper punch to Chris Rock.
You're fantastic. But I'm going fist. If I'm that mad, I'm going fist. I'm not slapping.
So I'm gonna say it was real. Judd, you're saying it might have been a work.
I'm saying
Declan sounds like you're kind of on the fence.
I'm teeter-tottering. I don't think it was a work, but I understand why people might think that way.
Amazing. It might have gone, and it might have been a work that just went a little too far, but it was still effective. They're going to get a week's worth of stuff from this, if not more.
Yeah. By the way, Chris Rock declined to press charges, according to the LAPD.
The LAPD issued a statement too, but they didn't name the individuals. It's hilarious. We are
name the individuals.
No, because they're self.
Also, if it was real, Chris Rock's been doing the same stand-up, the same type of stand-up for 30 years. He digs in on people and he picks out wounds and scabs. Oh, and those guys have probably been around each other for 3 decades. Anyhow, all right, Mackie and Judd. Got the Wild.
Glad we solved
Colorado.
that. Glad we got that.
The Wolves playing meaningful games. Yeah, got the Twins traded or signed Carlos Correa. Vikings. So people have been asking us all throughout the weekend, have you seen Ben Lieber's comments on Kirk Cousins, the secret behind the scenes meeting? We will dive into that on Purple Daily today. So check us out. And thanks for helping us get to 40,000 combined YouTube subscribers across SKOR North and the Purple Daily channel. You guys are the best listeners. Appreciate you coming along with us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on Mackie and Judd.